Welcome to RotoWire, Fantasy Football Live, back after a holiday little vacation. A lot of shows last Tuesday, nothing Wednesday, nothing Thursday, nothing Friday. So missed everybody, but hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Every Saturday, we bring in John Ryan of the Predictive Playbook and of RotoWire. Last week, John's always giving us winners, 65% winners. Consistently, his best bets are coming in at high rate as well. John, last week on this very show, 3 for 3 on the picks he gave you. No surprise to anybody. He doesn't win 3 out of 3 every week, as John tells you. If you're even going well, 65% is great. 68% is from those 10-unit plays, but they're going to lose 3 to 4 times out of 10. But John consistently gives you the rationale, the trends, the words I'm looking for here, the data. He has data, understands the game. John gives you a well-rounded approach. He teaches you to be a smarter gambler. John Ryan, happy Thanksgiving, a little late. Glad you're here today.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving to you, Jim. Thanks for having me on, and thanks always for that great introduction. It is a grind. Like you said, 3-0 last week. Who knows? We could go 0-3 this week, but hopefully not.
Exactly. So we're going to start out, and we're going to talk about this game twice on the show. We'll talk about the total, and then later we'll talk about the spread. But it's a big game. Everybody cannot wait to see the Bills-Eagles. The Bills, maybe they turned a corner with the new offensive coordinator last week. Hard to think that was the truth, but it did. And they came out and they smoked the Jets. Now we're going to see Tom McLaughlin's in the house. Welcome, Tom. Now we're going to see what happens when they face off with the 9-1 Eagles, who have done nothing but win games all season. John, we'll talk about this game twice. So you're going to talk about the total on this game. So go ahead and tell us what you think on this one.
Well, before I get into the nuts and bolts of this, I think it would be appropriate to mention the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs, much to everyone's surprise, has not scored a single point in the second half of their last 3 games. The Eagles held them scoreless. It looked like Kansas City had control of that game. They obviously didn't, and the Eagles came back in dramatic fashion and won the game. That marked the 4th time that a team has won a game, or the Eagles have won a game and been outstatted in the box score. In other words, total yards gained by the Eagles was less than what the Kansas City Chiefs gained. The Eagles also had 4 less minutes in time of possession than the Chiefs. So this was one of those fortuitous wins, if you will. And I might just want to add, too, just for background, the Pittsburgh Steelers have won 6 games in the same fashion. And that ties the most in 11 weeks of action since 2016, when the New York Giants did it. I'm sorry, not the Green Bay Packers did it. They went on to the playoffs as divisional champs and beat the Giants, who then went on and won Super Bowl, whatever number that was, over the New England Patriots in dramatic fashion. The other team was the Indianapolis Colts in 2011. They lost in the wild card round. Point being that the Steelers made the playoffs. So do not think that they are not capable of making the playoffs because they're winning with what some people call smoke and mirrors. Well, the Eagles are doing the same thing, just not as many games. So in this matchup on a short week, I think the total here is definitely to the under. And the under is supported by one of my good systems that I like quite a bit. Playing from week 9 on out, where the home favorite has won at least 80% of their games on the season, is coming off a road upset win, has seen the under go 24-12, Jim, for 67% winning bet since 1989. So again, live in-game betting on these totals has been really, really good for us this year. And nobody tells you have to bet it all pre-flop. Now, if you have a family function to go to and you're not watching the game, then that's the only way you can do it. I get that part. But if you're going to watch the Eagles game at 4:25 on Sunday afternoon, then you may want to just consider doing half a bet size pre-flop so you're in, and then look for a higher type of scoring in the first half. If you get anything over 50 in this game, I think that is a very, very good price to be adding pizza money bets until you have your full bet done. So you bet $50 pre-flop and then go 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 5 times and try to get progressively higher numbers. And you're going to have a really good bet at halftime for the under.
And again, John is teaching you some strategies for that in-game betting as well, making you a smarter gambler. But John is going the under on this one. John, in the Monday night game when the Eagles played the Chiefs, that line was like 45.5. And I smelled a rat because there were lines that week that were 48. And I'm thinking this line was set low as a trap. because everybody's going to say free money. That's easy over. I'm like, you go under on this game. And it went under fairly comfortably. But this has been the year of the under. Wow. But what a trap. And here you go on the Eagles, Bills with the under. All right, let's talk some DFS. And by the way, we got Quincy, Albert, and John also in. Welcome. Happy everybody's here with us today. DFS picks. So in that same Bills-Eagles game, look, all scoring is down this year. We don't have the vast shootouts we used to have. So if I take a player in that Bills-Eagles game, it's just the way it's going to work. Josh Allen, 8,100. He's cheaper than Jalen Hurts. And when we look at the Philly defense, look, I get it. Kansas City ran on them in the first half. That was an anomaly. I believe that the Eagles came into that game thinking that Andy Reid knew they were horrible against the pass and great against the run. They assumed Reid would come in and pass the ball. So they dedicated a lot of assets to the pass, and they figured they're not going to run on us, and they did. And then the second half, they realized, Andy Reid's going to run. Then they just stopped the run and said goodnight because Pacheco ain't running on our defense if we want to stop him. So anyway, my point, the Eagles cannot stop the pass this year. Slay and Bradbury are not playing at their usual high level. The middle of the field is a problem. Josh Allen, as a runner and a passer, should cash here. Player much, much cheaper. My cheap play of the week, and I actually love this play. Baker Mayfield, 5,500 at Indy. Baker Mayfield has been a solid performer all year. Not a great performer, but a solid performer. Aside from last week when the 49ers pass rush was overwhelming and Tristan Wirfs left that game in the third quarter with an injury. He's fine now. But anyway, Mayfield has protection behind that line. And Juju Brents, one of the rookie corners, is out. They have substandard corner play. The pass rush is middling, but against this line, they're not getting to Baker. And even without Grover Stewart, the run defense is good enough. So Baker Mayfield, and I'll talk about more about this game later, that's your quarterback play for cheap, and that's the one I recommend. 6,900 Kyler Murray against the Rams. I think this game shoots out. It's a great opportunity. This game shoots out. And the Rams are much better against the run than they are against the pass. They have a decent pass rush, but remember, Murray has the mobility. Now, I know Marquise Brown has a heel injury and might not play, but Murray hasn't been using him the last 2 weeks anyway. It's been last week it was Greg Dortch. 2 weeks ago it was Rondale Moore. And Trey McBride's always busy. So Kyler Murray 6,900, but my favorite play again 5,500 is Baker Mayfield. Give you some running backs. This is a GPP only play. First one, Jonathan Taylor is only 6,900 against Tampa Bay. The price tag's right; it's correct because Taylor has not been a good runner. He played over 80% of the snaps in his last game. It's gone up, up, up every game. The touches have gone up, up. He's seeing well over 20 touches a game. Tampa is a good run defense. They were sketchy for a while. Now they've solidified up. Vita Vea is playing much better, but Taylor could get to the outside. If Taylor needed a bye week to get right, if he was still acclimating from that ankle that he was dealing with, or from the time sitting out, this is why he's GPP, because if he's back to Jonathan Taylor and he's getting 25 touches and he's 6,900, that's a smash. But of course, he's GPP because if he plays the way he played the last few weeks, then that's the bust part of it. Kyren Williams is 6,600 against the Cardinals. I said this game could shoot out. I like Kyler Murray. Now, Williams back from the IR, full go. They put him on the IR. He's completely ready to roll. And just remember, before he got hurt, they were using him as a runner, as a receiver. They were using him at the goal line. And this offense against Arizona should have no issues moving the ball. Arizona is not just a bad defense. They are down 3 starting defenders. Their middle linebacker's out. Their right defensive end is out. And not that it particularly bothers Kyren Williams, but their left cornerback's out. But the Rams should move the ball all day. Jerome Ford is 5,600 at Denver. Denver's improved vastly as a defense. They still can't stop the run. And look, there's no way Cleveland wants to put the game on the shoulders of their quarterback. Maybe next week, Joe Flacco, but we saw it last week. They want to make Dorian Thompson-Robinson not be the problem. They want to run the ball. Denver, that's going to be no issue. Jaylen Warren, 5,400 at Cincinnati. We know the touches are low. They fired Matt Canada. Who took over? The running backs coach. Well, what do you think's going to be featured in this game? The running backs, with the running backs coach taking over. And he's had success in the last 3 weeks of the running game. And so, yeah, Jaylen Warren. And remember, Cincinnati is bad against the run. They're bad against the pass, but they give up explosive runs. They and the Browns giving a lot of explosive runs. That's Jaylen Warren's game. So we love that. Now, this last one, tricky one, right? If Rachaad White came up this morning on the injury report with a knee injury, A late week add on the injury report is never good. If Rashad White doesn't play, Chase Edmonds steps into a heavy role. Now, he'll probably split the role with Keyshawn Vaughn, but Chase Edmonds, if he gets receiving work, and we know how much Baker Mayfield's dumping to his running backs this year, 4,300 in that Indy game. So Mayfield throwing to him helps as well. All right, John, I rambled on far too long as usual. We're going to get John Ryan up for another winning pick here. Earlier, John gave us the under in the Bills and Eagles. This time, I had already talked about Jerome Ford and the running game for the Browns. You want to give us some betting advice on the Browns versus Broncos, two teams playing very well right now. The Broncos have been great the last 3 or 4 weeks. The Browns, obviously, all year defensively have been bringing the heat. What's your take on this game? John, turn your mic on. There we go. So John's going to turn his mic on. He's going to tell us about the Browns, Broncos, the total on this game.
All right. Sorry about that, Jim.
No worries. No worries.
So, yeah, the Cleveland Browns have really surprised a lot of people with their record. Their overall record is right there in the playoff hunt. They actually could make a run at the Baltimore Ravens. And it's their defense. Their defense has become one of the top defenses in all the land. And their ground attack, which you eloquently described, is the reason why they are winning games like they did last week. They had their rookie quarterback in last week. And despite the fact that Cleveland was covering the spread in 70% of the time that the game took place, over 60 minutes, they still needed that last second field goal to win the game. Point is, they won the game. And those type of games where you win last second, I think there was a record last week of 6 of them. And, it doesn't happen that often, but it does happen just about every week. So that'll carry over into this game. But with the under being at 35.5, and the way you described it perfectly, it sets up for a great betting opportunity on the under. Again, nobody says you have to bet pre-flop. You can wait till the game starts and look to get something at 37.5, 39.5, even 41.5. They score a touchdown and a field goal in the first 10 minutes. It's going to be over 40 points. And that's where you can really take advantage of this. And you know what, Jim? If it doesn't happen that way, they don't get off to a fast start and they're playing in the mud, so to speak, then you look for the next opportunity. You just don't force a bet ever. It's hard not to do it because you want the action, but there's plenty of games. There's plenty of weeks left. And you just save the ammunition for when the time is right. So this one is, let's see, that game last week, I wanted to mention this too. Cleveland failed to convert 13 of 17 third down situations and still won the game.
Yes.
The two teams combined converted just 7 of 31 third down situations. So that, I think, is exemplary of what Tom Brady's been talking about with the quality of play going down overall in the league. And, some of these sloppy wins by the Eagles and the Steelers, et cetera, et cetera. Every team has sloppy wins this year, it seems. But that is one of the reasons why, because obviously if you don't convert on third down, you don't move the chains. You can't score points. You have to punt the ball. So anyway, road teams that failed to convert on 13 or more third down attempts, talking about Cleveland, but still managed to win the game at home, have seen the undergo 21-8. That's 72.4% winning tickets since 2001. If the total is lower than 50 points, which obviously this one is, the under has gone 19-8 for 70% winning bets. Wow. And if the matchup is a non-divisional game, the under then soars to 15-4 for 79% winning bets. So believe me, I am on the under here in this Cleveland-Denver Broncos matchup.
Hey, we could see a 13-9 game here. It could go 2 touchdowns to the under. That's a I'm not saying will happen, but there's a possibility. It could be a nice little cushion there for sure.
Like what Iowa and Nebraska did yesterday, 13-10 or whatever it was.
Wow. On a side note, yesterday, my best bet for the Jets and the Dolphins game was the Jets team total under 14.5 points. They got that pick 6 in the first half, still made it, but that made it a little bit nerve-wracking. Tua just throwing that ball away. Hey, if you like this show, consider hitting the like and subscribe button if you're on RotoWire or YouTube. I see some people in the chat. If you have start-sit questions, as soon as the show is over, for the next hour. If you go to my X profile at Jim Coventry NFL, I am answering questions on the RotoWire X account for an hour. I'll answer your question there. If you want the usual live stream on Sunday, as always, 11 a.m. Eastern, I'll be there. But if you want them answered like a text format, just send them over. But again, appreciate the support. Let's talk some DFS wide receivers. So look, that Browns and Philly game. Dallas Goedert was out last week. We saw that Kansas City was able to take out A.J. Brown, which kind of thought that would happen, and Devontae Smith ate. But Buffalo really is struggling to defend about anybody these days. And if it's going to be a very narrow target tree, right? And with no Goddard, so even this game goes under like John believes it will, and it should, there's still going to be a player who does well, and that's going to be A.J. Brown. Buffalo, just injuries along the secondary. They have 3 people less than 100%. We already know Trey White's been done for over a month, and one of their, I have name of the evades me right now. One of their the third corner is out in this game. They're just down a lot of people. Pass rush has been inconsistent. So A.J. Brown, and then the same game. We were going to take Josh Allen earlier. Stephon Diggs has been a little bit down. He's been ticked off with things lately, but he's still getting targets. In Philly, they do not have anybody with any ability to cover him. So Stephon Diggs, they're going to get him right in this game. 8,800. It's a high payout, but I'll give you some cheap plays to kind of work with that to kind of minimize that. Now, earlier we mentioned we like Baker Mayfield, and we said if Rashad White's out, Chase Edmonds is a running back real cheap, but we still want to go with Mike Evans here. The reason we want Mike Evans over Chris Godwin is, well, first of all, we know that Baker prefers to throw to Evans. The targets have been higher to Evans, but even more than that, we said that rookie corner Juju Brents is out. The other outside corner is Kenny Moore, who's 5'9". What is Mike Evans, 6'5", 231? That's a mismatch. And all Baker has to do is say, oh, look, Mike Evans, I could see like the middle of your jersey over the top of Kenny Moore's helmet. And so, yeah, Mike Evans, 7,400 should cash her. Same game. Michael Pittman, 6,800 against Tampa. Jamel Dean is out. Carlton Davis, the other outside corner, he's banged up. He probably plays. But again, they have no answer for Michael Pittman in this game. And Josh Downs he's apparently been battling a knee injury since OTAs. He's off the injury report, but it's apparently been a problem, and they limited his snaps to last week they definitely did. But Michael Pittman should be fine here. Now, cheap, let's go bargain bin real quick. Demario Douglas of the Patriots, 4,400 at the Giants. The reason I like Demario Douglas here is that New England, whoever the quarterback is, they haven't announced, but Demario Douglas is the little slot guy, open over the middle. Offensive line has not held up well, but Dexter Lawrence, the all-world defensive tackle, is out for the Giants. He's listed as doubtful. That's going to give whichever quarterback plays a little bit more time, but Demario Douglas has been their guy. Now, Rashid Shaheed is 4,300 against Atlanta. Michael Thomas is out. Now, I know Shaheed will often run in the slot, but he could play some outside as well. But regardless, his snap share should go well above the 69-70% range. And Atlanta, they're what we call a pass funnel defense. They've been like one of the top run defenses this year. But against the pass, yeah, you could get to them. And they just had the week off, but Shaheed is a big play machine, 4,300. Now, Zay Jones is 3,900 at Houston. He came back from his knee injury last week, some short stuff. But against Houston, the outside corners are more attackable than the middle where Tavir Thomas is. So Zay Jones, and you know Calvin Ridley is going to get a lot of attention. So Zay Jones is in a favorable matchup in a game that can shoot up. Finally, if you want a cheaper piece of that Philadelphia game, Khalil Shakir is 3,600. He had a long touchdown last week, but again, middle of the field, you can attack the Eagles. Tight end, Trey McBride is 4,700 against the Rams. If you're taking Kyler Murray, we know Marquise Brown is dinged up. McBride is the great comeback there, the pairing. David Njoku, 4,100 at Denver. John and I think this is a low-scoring game. Njoku seeing a ton of screen passes, and in DraftKings PPR, 4,100. He had 15 targets last week. He's got 8 or more, I believe, in 3 of his last 4 games. All that screen pass stuff adds up quickly. Cade Otton, if you want an even cheaper piece of that Tampa Indy game, 3,200 against the Colts. Finally, defensively, John talked about the Browns defense. They are 3,800, but they could put Denver in a world of hurt with all their pressure. And then finally, a cheap play here, the Texans 2,600 against the Jaguars. There aren't many cheap plays that are good this week, but Trevor Lawrence has had some games where they haven't done extremely well. it's just punt play, but I prefer the Browns at 3,800. All right, before we get to the last pick, again, if you hit the like and subscribe button, remember, start sit questions after the show, RotoWire X page. You can get that link on my at Jim Coventry NFL. Charlene, welcome. I see you're back here. Yep, talked about Miami for sure. John Ryan, you earlier talked about the Bills and the Eagles. You talked about the over and under. Talk about the point spread in this game. John will put his mic on now. He had it off because he had a little background noise, but he's going to put that on. He's going to tell us
There we go. Sorry about that.
There you go, John.
This is a great matchup. Buffalo is in a situation and already where it's a must-win situation for them, being one game over 500 and playing in the AFC East, which has the Miami Dolphins. So they are in a must-need situation. Teams that are playing at home that are coming off a game where they upset the reigning Super Bowl champions, Jim, 0-7 against the spread. Now, these trends eventually end. You're not going to see this at 0-17. The Eagles might be a team that is capable of reversing that trend, but it is supportive to take Buffalo here. And that line was funny when it came out. It's gone up to basically 3 now. But why in the world would a line come out at -2 with a Buffalo team that had lost 4 of 6 games before they won last week? The biggest matchup I see here, Jim, and you mapped it out perfectly, is that Buffalo has found a running game suddenly. They gained, about 330 yards against the Jets and Denver. Those are not cream puff defenses, and they have great front sevens in their own right, especially the Jets. So I think teams have not been able to run the ball at all against the Eagles, and this might be the team that actually gets successful in doing it. If they're successful, you can watch the line of scrimmage. Sometimes I don't even watch the ball in the first quarter. You see penetration by the Buffalo Bills offensive line and getting pushed back on those running plays, then this is going to be a game that Buffalo can win. I think you'll be able to tell right away in this matchup if Buffalo is going to be successful running the ball. Because, Jim, you know what happens when you run the ball. Play action pass. And against that Eagles secondary,
yep,
I see some touchdowns going in there. But as I said, not many touchdowns because we're also on the under. So with these, I wanted to mention, too, with the team rankings, they're very similar teams, actually. And you won't believe this, and a lot of people would say I'm crazy, but I have the Eagles ranked 6th in the NFL right now. And that's just my power ratings. They
makes
aren't
sense.
always right. But San Francisco right now took over the number 1 spot. There's not much difference between the first 6. Any one of those teams could win on any given day. But in this situation, on a short week, coming off their revenge victory, come from behind dramatic fashion, I think they're ripe to get beat by a team that is just hungrier than hungry and must win this game. They cannot afford to go back to 500 if they have any aspirations to make the playoffs. Now, Buffalo ranks 6th in scoring offense, 26.7 per game. Guess who's 5th? The Eagles, 27.3. Defensively, here's the difference. I think we have the better team on both sides of the ball right now in the Buffalo Bills in this matchup, especially with the short week and the big victory over the Chiefs. Buffalo's defense ranks 5th in scoring defense at 17.3. Philly's defense 15th, 21.2 per game. Eagles rank 18th in the league in points per play allowed, 0.339. Buffalo Bills are 5th in the NFL, 0.286 points per play. So I could go on and on here and tell you more and more stats, but I won't. So the one trend is since 1989, Eagles have 1 loss, right? Teams that have had 1 loss or were undefeated have gone 105-60 straight up. So they continue to win, but not at a really meteoric pace. But guess what? They're 62-97 against the spread for just 39% winning bets from week 12 on out to the end of the regular season. So that tells us right there to fade the Eagles as a 3-point home favorite and take the 3 points with the Bills and maybe even bet them on the money line as well.
So John gave us, again, the Bills +3 early. Well, the same game he gave us the under 48.5, and then he gave us the Broncos and Browns under 37 today. So, again, 3 big winners from John last week. I gave you some DFS. We had some real nice comments. We had Michael DeLuca telling us, great show. Thank you, Michael. Charlene, You told us we hope you had a Thanksgiving. We hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving out there. We definitely missed you. The schedule is going to be normal now. So we'll do the start, sit Sunday, and then we'll be back to the Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday through Sunday grind. That's back to normal. Got through the holiday there. And if you want a start, sit questions answered for fantasy, there's 2 ways to get that done this weekend. As soon as the show's over, on the RotoWire X account, I'll be answering questions for an hour. So 11:30 to 12:30 is posted on my @Coventry NFL. I'll answer those. If you want them live, 11 a.m. tomorrow. Sauger was in the house. He says, excellent show, John. I appreciate you there. Alex always around with us. And hopefully didn't miss anybody. But Bialy was here, Jeff Rogers. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. John, tell everybody where they can find you and your work.
Well, over at the predictedplaybook.com. Also, my articles are college football and NFL every week at rotowire.com. Those are pretty good articles with more free picks than what we talked about. And also on Twitter, the X, at John Ryan Sports and #1. I do have a 10-unit play going today. It's only 30 minutes till kickoff, but if you're listening and you want to get it for free, just send me a direct message and I'll do just that.
At John Ryan Sports 1. Definitely make sure you're getting that pick from John. Again, do that quickly because this game kicks off at the top of the hour. So we got that. All right. Anything else? I think we're good on that. So we'll be back as always, John, every Saturday. Remember, start, sit Sunday, 11 Eastern. For John Ryan, I'm Jim Coventry. Good luck, everyone. Have a great day.